it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. First things first, sorry this video is a little bit darker. This was filmed in the dead of night and I just had an idea and couldn't sleep, so wanted to get to. But it is a little bit darker, sorry about that. But today's video, we are going to be focusing on Worth the Shine. This is just one of my most favorite techniques to do with embossing folders, and it is simple. Now, this is one of my favorites here. You do need some shiny cardstock, but I'm going to get into that because we actually don't need shiny cardstock. Of course, we can create. Now, if you just have regular cardstock like this one here, this one happens to be from Gina K, but any, cardstock is going to work. I have some black cardstock. This is my favorite from Lawn Fawn, Black Licorice. This is going to work. The very first one I showed was the Concord and Ninth Matte Gold. That is going to work. It's something that we can work with. These are some other random shiny ones that I had. One of them has texture to it. It has quite a lot of texture, but we can use that. We can make anything work for this technique. So I want to show you a couple of finished cards with this as well, and we're going to go through some of the ways that you can achieve shine if you don't just have the cardstocks ready to go. Because if you're like me, you don't have a huge amount of space and storage, and so I can't just purchase everything and have it stored, somewhere to store it. I don't have the budget for that either, and so sometimes we just have to use products to create the next step. We don't get to skip the step of buying it pre-purchased, but we can create it. And I have got some of these cut out ready to go into some sort of more A2 sizes. Some of them were a little irregular because the original cardstock started off in a different size. But anywho, I have the green and the black cardstocks, and the first way that we're going to make some shine is using some solar paste and some lunar paste. These are from Simon Hurley, and I'm sure you'll be familiar with them. I just use a domed foam blender to apply these. That's in this scenario, at least, because when I'm going to apply these to black, yes, this paste looks sort of like nothing or a bit white or a bit transparent, but it is going to create a beautiful blue. This is the blue shade of it, and of course Simon Hurley has lots of different shades, but this is just the one that I have for today's technique, creating some shine, some gorgeous shiny backgrounds, and then we're going to do something with them that is so easy, but it is worth doing. And the different embossing folders have some pretty different outcomes, which you'll see soon. Anywho, I put a thin layer of this on, and there's sort of no way to get it absolutely perfect, so you kind of just go with the imperfections and just rub it on, and actually you don't notice it at all. So I just make sure that I cover most of it. I probably will be trimming most of these backgrounds down, but nonetheless, just to not get little fingerprints, I sometimes hold it down with a little palette knife or something, and I just put some in the lid so that I can easily grab it rather than having to pop it in the container and get it up the sides of my blending tool. And so that is the solar paste. And then there is also the lunar paste. That's this one here. And this is my absolute favorite color. I am so near the bottom of this. This is the Slippery When Wet, which is technically the yellow lunar paste, and this is he actually does have a gold color, but this is my favorite for gold splatters because it is a warm gold, whereas I find the actual gold is more of a cooler, darker kind of gold. So, to each their own, we can each like different things. This is my favorite gold, and I'm going to use it on some black cardstock. So even if you have black, we can make gorgeous, creative, shiny backgrounds, which are very similar to other purchased products. But if this is all you have, and you don't tend to have mirror cardstock or the matte gold cardstock or anything like that, then we can make our own. Of course, there is always another way. Now, if you just have, some green cardstock, some spare cardstock, scrap cardstock, it's already got, some misstamping on it or something, you can use, these ones are again Simon Hurley's lunar paste, and I have got a couple of different colors of greens. I figure I may as well go with the background, and green is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I don't often work with entirely green backgrounds. So I do a thin layer here with my palette knife. Now I do want to keep it fairly thin because I want this to dry relatively fast. I don't have a whole lot of patience, and as I said, I'm filming this at a late hour of the day. And so I'm going to scrape this down and make this one kind of a little bit motley, a little bit lines between the two different colors of paste that we have used. So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. There is no perfect, and you'll see that these actually turn out gorgeous, and I actually end up using this gorgeous green background. Then there are other ones like this metallic copper, and when I opened this up and saw it in the pot, I didn't think too much of it, honestly, but actually when you pop this down onto a background and when it dries, it is stunning. I'm going to use a piece of craft cardstock. Anything, honestly, any background. You can pop these on. If you have gel prints that you don't necessarily love, then you can add to those. If you have pieces of cardstock that you've accidentally stamped on and don't love it, you can use it up this way, cover it over with the paste, and then you've got a whole new background. I'm just showing you can really use anything. You can use coloured cardstocks, black cardstocks, white cardstocks, anything that you have, any paste that you have, any kind of golds or silvers or metallics or colours. We can make it all work, but it does need to be metallic. It needs to be shiny. And so that is the catch here. Now, I'm going to put these aside to dry. They are pretty much dried really fast. Look at the shine on these. These are so gorgeous, and we quickly created all of these backgrounds. And I actually really like the texture that the domed foam blenders give when you apply it in that way. It's a bit more than doing it with a palette knife or something, so I like that look. Now, these are the other ones that are already shiny and they're already gorgeous. So we can use those too, of course. Now I have got some embossing folders. I'm going to show you, because I've created all these backgrounds, I really was on a roll. There is no need to do this many at all, but here are some of the backgrounds that I have created. So run these through your embossing folders and you are going to get some stunning results. This is the Poinsettia Fields from Simon Says Stamp. This was the metallic already blue cardstock, so not one that we created. Now this one is using the matte gold from Concord and Night, and this is the Natural Wicker by Altenew, but just this has got so much movement in it. I'm going to go through these really quickly, and I kind of wish I'd slowed down a little bit, but these are gorgeous. Now this is the Altenew Bold Floral Drape, so you know, just a floral background. These are gorgeous and they look very cool on these, but ones like this is the Crafter's Companion Geometric Diamonds. This one is one of my favorites, and it's just, when you move the cardstock, it creates crazy cool dimension and looks on it with no effort required. Now that is the solar paste that I used with Simon Hurley on the black cardstock. This one here is from Creative Expressions. This is the Botanical Swirls. Now this one is a 2D embossing folder, I think, and I wouldn't say this gave the same look. So this is why it's important just to try all of the embossing folders that you have. This one here is from Sizzix. This is called Organic Petals. This is 3D and this is gorgeous. It is just, yeah, it catches your eye beautifully. Now this one here, this is going to be the matte gold cardstock, so already gold, and this is the Sunflower and Roses by Lisa Horton. Gorgeous embossing folder. I'm going to use it, but it doesn't quite have the dimensional effect that I'm going for here. This one here is the Patterned Stockings from Simon Says Stamp. This is a gorgeous little Christmas one. And again, this is pretty gorgeous. The different colors of green in the background there gives it some interest, I would say. But just embossing anything that is shiny, metallic, and gold is going to give a whole nother layer of dimension to your cards. And it is just a really easy, fun way to use up what you have. So if you have anything shiny, whether it be something that you have to make shiny or something that came shiny, then you should give it a go to emboss it. Now this one here is the Patterned Stockings embossing folder, and I'm going to trim this down. Now I kind of thought I was going to give it a small border. As per usual, I never know where I'm going with my cards. I never have a plan. I never pre-make them, and I really am just winging it. And so I have cut this panel down to be relatively small, and then I put a fine black border around it. I'm going to keep those bigger pieces that I have taken from the side there just because I feel like I can use those for something. This set here is called Polar Wishes, and this is just some gorgeous little, snowmen and penguins and all those good things. I have coloured in this little penguin because it was so easy. All I did was added a black around the outside and then coloured in his little scarf, and that's how easy I like things. These are some Hero transfers, which are actually rub-ons. Hero Arts calls them transfers for all of them. They are rub-ons. All they need is for you to apply pressure to apply them. Rather than any water or anything like the Dress My Craft transfers. These ones here are called the Holiday Message Strips, and I just cut out one of them. There are a few little snowflakes and extra little things in there to fill in the gaps, so that's fun if you wanted to use those as well. I had this black cardstock left over, and I was thinking that I would put one of the white sentiments onto the black. Now this is going to be similar to if you have a stamp and then you're going to stamp it in some, sticky embossing powder and then add white to it and the black would shine through. It's not quite as bright as white embossing powder, but boy, it is 10 times faster. So this was a nice easy wee strip that I could just rub on and go, so that was fun, using up one of those extra black little strips I had there. Then I have a white card base, and I have the foam tape that is already on the back, so this little panel is going to sit up, and then my gorgeous little penguin ready to go and a sentiment strip. This card was very easy to put together, but that shine in the background as well as an embossing folder, I obviously didn't want to cover up too much of it, and that's why I chose this sweet little penguin. I want the embossing folder to shine through. It is a beautiful background that we created really quickly and easily, so embossing folders with anything shiny is definitely worth doing. Then I'm going to pop my little penguin down and the sentiment, and this card is going to be finished. This was pretty quick to put together, but a gorgeous little Christmas card ready to go. I'm not doing all Christmas cards. I am trying to do a little splatter of them here and there just to get a few in my stash for a little bit closer to the holiday season. I tend to not make too many, but it is good to have some ideas for them. The next card that I'm going to make, I'm actually going to use this one here. Now I realize that this was probably not one of my favorites that I created from the backgrounds. It is stunning, but some of the dimensional ones are just absolutely beautiful. I think that Geometric Diamonds by the Crafter's Companion one, or maybe the Natural Wicker one by Altenew, or the Organic Petal ones by Sizzix. Those really dimensional ones are stunning. But I think when I'm making these videos, I lean towards using what I think is going to be the trickiest to use, and I was thinking about how to use this one. Now, this is the Sunflower and Roses by Lisa Horton, and this comes with the embossing folder and die. So I thought, actually, maybe I'm just going to use the die and cut it out. Now, obviously, when you use the die second, I like to emboss them to get an idea, or you can cut them first. But obviously, I had embossed this one first. So then I ran it through the die cutting machine, which did flatten it a little bit. So I just popped it back in the embossing folder and ran it through one more time. Then I put this flat on my card base, and then changed my mind and decided I wanted a little more going on than this. And so I am going to cut it out. I'm going to cut it off the card base. These are some of the Tim Holtz sentiment strips or sayings, whatever they are. These are so old, and I am loving using them. I sort of rediscovered them in my stash. Sometimes I tend to hoard things that I really love the look of, or I don't know, it's that weird feeling of not wanting to use it, to hoard it, to hold on to it to forever instead of using it and enjoying it as I use it. It's a constant little battle with myself. But anyhow, I've moved on to using these, and I am really enjoying it. So I'm going to take some white cardstock, add one of those black sentiments on it there, and just cut this out with some longer bladed scissors. These are the recoil scissors, actually also by Tim Holtz, and I would say they are worth it. I do have the original pair, and by all means, the original pair work just fine, but I do like those recoil ones. They are nice and easy to use on the hand, I will say that. So I just use those to cut and create a really fine black border around what I've got, and then I will put this down onto a white card base. I felt like the original one was just a tad too plain and needed an extra little element to it, so I think by the time this is the black, gold and white sort of version, and I really like this. Very simple, very, very quick to get together. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope that the lesson is you can make shiny things with what you have and then emboss them. Let's emboss them. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you